In this exercise, we're going to be looking at constructing a table of values. So, to construct a table of values, we substitute numbers into a formula, as we have previously done, to come up with the table. From the table, we can either draw a graph or we can look for various patterns in the data. The process is very straightforward. Here we have a formula for converting degrees in Celsius to give us its equivalent in Fahrenheit. So it's a temperature conversion. F equals 9/5 times C plus 32. There is our formula. So there is a table of values that has been set up for us. In the top row, we have the temperatures in Celsius, 0, 10, 20, and so on to 100. And what we want to do is work out the equivalent in Fahrenheit, which is going to be in the bottom row. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my highlighter to show you the values to start off with. Looking at the table of values, the first value I have is 0 for Celsius. I'm going to substitute that into my formula where the C is. So F equals 9/5 times 0 plus 32. I can type that into my calculator and it will give me 32. So I now write 32 underneath the 0. You can see in the answers in step 2, that's the first column of numbers in the table. Next thing I'm going to do is then pick 10 as my new value for C. F equals 9/5 times 10 plus 32. Type that in on my calculator and press enter. That gives me 50. So underneath the 10, I'm going to write 50. So you can see in the completed table, in the second column of numbers, there is the 10 and the 50. The last one I'm going to do is the third number along. Again, using my highlighter, that number is 20. So in my formula, I'm going to replace C with 20. F equals 9/5 times 20 plus 32. That comes out to equal 68. And I write that in the table. And you can see in the answers, the third column of numbers has been completed. You keep on going along the table, replacing C with 30, then 40, all the way up to 100, till you get a completed table as shown. This process is a long and tedious process when you have to do every step by hand. So there is an easy way to get help from your calculator. It is using the lists and the spreadsheets. That is the function in the calculator that we have used to enter values when we have done statistics. In my formula, I was using C and F. So I have named the first column C, C for Celsius. These were the known values, the values that we substituted into the formula. And we want it to give us the corresponding Fahrenheit values, so I've named the second column F. That is where the answers are going to be. The way in which we do this is we move our highlighted section. I have just circled this in blue on the first screenshot. We move that up to it sits in the row underneath the F. When we're there, we then type in the formula. The way in which we type in the formula, we must start off with an equals sign. So you can see there is an equals sign in front of the formula. Now we type 9 divided by 5. Then we press the times button, which gives us the asterisk. Now we need to have our C value that we substitute in. We called the first column C. So all I have to do is type C. If it brings up a message to say, hey, what's C? Just do select variable reference plus 32. Then we press enter. What it then does is it fills all the blank squares underneath the formula with the answers taking the value of C to the right, so say 0, substituting that formula and giving you 32 for F. Taking the value of C being 10, substituting that formula to give you 50. It is done automatically. Now I'll show you how to do it on your calculator live. We're going to add in a lists and spreadsheet page. The first column I'm going to label C for centigrade. Then I'm going to fill in the numbers that we have for the table for the top row. 0, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, and 100. Now I'm going to move up to the top of the second column, and I'm going to call that F for Fahrenheit. Underneath that, what I'm going to do is type a formula. The formula is for that column. Like you do in a spreadsheet, you start off by pressing the equals sign. The formula we have then is 9 divided by 5 times, now we want to times by the centigrade value or the Celsius value. That is what is in our first column called C. So I'm going to type C. After that, I'm going to type plus 32. When I press return, see how it has asked me what I'm looking for, a column or variable. What I'm doing is a variable, that is C. So I'm just going to select variable, then OK, and you can see it is now filled in all the temperatures down to 100.